Previously, on All That Glitters.
No one else had as much to gain by those two being out the picture, did they?
That animal deserved to die, and I'm not sorry that I made it happen, but I didn't pull the trigger.
I want it to be him, you know? I just want someone like him to be held accountable for being a bully his whole life.
We can't put somebody in jail for being a bully.
I know.
Sorry to disturb, but you're gonna want to see this.
The afternoon paper had Gatsby and George's crime scene photo nestled in a side column under the fold.
Hey, Nick. Remind me why he's worth fighting for.
Jay?
Yeah.
I just kept being surprised at how good he was. How kind, thoughtful he was of taking care of other people. Anyone who needed a place to stay, anyone who needed food, extra clothes, a ride. Gatsby gave it all away and didn't expect anything in return, ever.
Can I help you? I know who killed Jay Gatsby.
It took me a second to remember the clock on the wall was still ticking forward as I stared at this meek person in the doorway. He kept rocking forward on the tips of his toes as if daring himself to enter the room and commit to what he had just said. Suddenly afraid he might take it back, I snapped back into the room to find the detectives.
Yes, let me just, I will go. Detectives Barba and Amory, this is,
Klipspringer?
he says he knows who killed Gatsby.
Is that true, Mr.
Klipspringer, sir. And yes, it's true. I saw the whole thing.
Have a seat, Mr. Klipspringer. Miss Jones, if you would.
Oh, yeah, of course.
All right, Mr. Klipspringer, why don't you start at the beginning and tell us everything you know?
I stayed at Gatsby's house for quite some time that summer. It was such a big space and he had so little use for all of it and I needed a place to crash. I don't need to get into all of that. I was there at his house.
You were still staying there on September 5th. From all the interviews we conducted, we thought Gatsby had cleared the house while he was seeing Mrs. Buchanan.
Well, sir, that's true. I had left a few weeks before, but I had come back to stay. He didn't know Gatsby. The place I had been staying fell through and I needed somewhere to go again. He was out when I got there and he didn't have enough staff to have an eye on each door. I'm not proud, but he had so many rooms, you know, so I just let myself in and picked one. I was just there for a day, but it was the day. Well, you know what day.
Can you clarify for me, please? You arrived on September 4th and stayed overnight into September 5th?
Yes, sir. I planned to stay for another couple days. I figured Gatsby was so wrapped up in his mystery lady that he wouldn't notice me milling about, and there's always food in the kitchens. But when I saw... well, I left right after.
Please, describe exactly what you saw.
I was heading back up to my room from the kitchens. I had stayed in there all the night before. Heard Jay walking around with a man, talking in all hours of the night and all morning. They had finished breakfast and the other man left. When Jay got himself ready to go swimming is when I snuck down to the kitchen to get myself some breakfast. You know, there'd be leftovers from what the two of them had just had. They had a lot of food and mostly didn't touch it waste, if you ask me. I was doing them a service trying to reduce that.
You're not on trial here. Just please walk us through what you saw of the murder.
Right. Well, I was on my way back up to my room. Sometimes you get a little lost in that house. And I was taking a longer path from the kitchen than normal, and I heard the sound of a gun go off. Well, no one in the house went running, but I ducked and saw myself down and peeked out of a window so I could tell what was happening, and I saw him fall off his mattress in the pool, blood floating around him everywhere. I knew he was dead, or as good as. There was nothing I could do to help. It's why I didn't help. There was nothing I could do.
Again, Mr. Klipspringer, you don't have to defend your actions of the day. Just explain them to us.
Okay, well, since I knew there was nothing I could do to help, I craned my neck around to see if I was safe. If it was some madman over to rob the house, maybe, kill the richest man in New York and then ransack his house for whatever he could find. That's what I thought was happening. Thought I was going to have to make a run for it if a guy with a gun came in running in to steal whatever wasn't bolted down.
So you just heard Gatsby got shot, saw his body in the pool, and then ran right from there?
Well, no. Like I said, I craned my neck around to see where the killer was coming from. Then I saw the other guy. The other guy that died, what was his name? I saw a man get killed and I don't even remember his name. How crazy is that? You should remember the name of a man you've seen get shot.
George Wilson.
Wilson. That's right, George Wilson. I won't forget it. Saw it in the paper yesterday, but it went right out my head. That's why I'm here. I saw the ad in the paper. They were looking for clues of who killed Jay, and that's what I've got.
There was no ad. It was just but that's besides the point. Mr. Klipspringer, I really need you to keep telling me what you saw out of the window. Who did you see shoot Mr. Wilson?
Imagine the shock I went through when I was expecting a big man out there with a rifle or something, ready to rob the whole house, and then seeing it wasn't a man at all. It was a lady with a gun pointed straight at the other man, George Wilson. I've never seen a man look so scared in his life, like he followed a lady with a gun to shoot a stranger and then got surprised when she turned the gun on him too. He was begging her. No, I couldn't exactly hear what he was saying. I was too far away to hear, and the glass was frosted up with, I don't know, maybe I was blowing too hard on it account of me being afraid I was going to get shot in a house robbery. But I could see him opening and closing his mouth like a fish trying to breathe out of water, so I'm sure he was saying things like, "No, don't shoot me, I don't want to die." Well, that's what I would be saying, at least, if there was a lady holding a gun up towards me. And anyway, she put the gun in his hand and held it up to his head so it looked like he was shooting himself, and then the trigger went, and I near fainted on account of seeing two men die back to back, you know?
Did you get any good look of the woman's face? What can you tell us about her?
I've seen lots of ladies, you know, they're always standing around the piano when I played at parties, and this was definitely a lady.
I need you to be as specific as possible, Mr. Klipspringer.
I'm trying to be, but I only saw the back of her body. She was wearing a long white coat, which, in my mind, if you're going to do a couple of murders, it might be a good idea to wear any color other than white on account of the blood, you know? And she had on a hat. All her hair was tucked up in it. Or maybe she didn't have any hair. And long gloves, but she was about the height of a woman, you know, and skinny. Not like one of those girls that's too skinny to hold on to, but no real big curves either. Or maybe the curves were hidden on account of the coat. Or maybe she looked bigger than she was on account of the coat.
And this was all you saw of her?
I guess on account of the coat, it might not have been a lady at all. But it was a lady's shoes. And when I saw the ad in the paper, I thought maybe you were looking for clues, and I was so scared back then, thought maybe if I told someone, the lady would come after me for knowing anything about her.
We can assign someone to check in on you if you're afraid of any sort of retribution.
Well, that's it. I thought maybe. It's time to stop being afraid. Think of how many other people she might have killed since I didn't tell anyone what I saw. I couldn't well live with that kind of guilt over my head anymore, so when I saw the ad, I knew I had to come in and tell you what I saw.
We appreciate you coming forward after all this time. After you saw her kill Mr. Wilson, what did you do then?
I was afraid to move still, you know. Didn't want to knock anything over accidentally and let her know I was watching. I've seen that happen in pictures, and you know, someone sees someone get killed, and then they knock over a vase or something and make a noise, and then the killer knows they're there.
So you stayed put until the killer left?
I did, but it was a good while before she did. You know what she did after she just killed two men?
What did she do, Mr. Klipspringer?
She stood there and lit herself a cigarette. Like she needed a little breather after killing two men.
Ah. Did you happen to see how she lit the cigarettes? Matches or...
No. She had something shining in her hand. But I couldn't see much of it, but it got sunlight reflected well off. It almost blinded me from waving it around. But she stood facing the dead bodies still. That's why I couldn't see her face, but I could see her standing there, smoking. She had on white shoes, lady shoes, along with her white coat, and I'm sure there was blood all over everything she had on.
Did you hear her get into a car or walk away in any particular direction?
No, sir. She walked away in her white shoes. I don't know why anyone would wear white to do murders, an impractical color to wear. I was already looking out almost around a corner to see her in the first place, but she walked away and I ducked down so she wouldn't see me and come and shoot me with the gun. I was still scared she was going to rob the house, but who wears a white coat and high heels to rob a house? Well, I don't know, maybe I don't know what the kids are wearing these days to do crime. But I stayed there for a few minutes to make sure that I was going to be safe and no one could see or hear me, and then I ran up to my room and packed my things up so fast to get the hell out of there. Pardon my language. Well, I was moving so fast I forgot my tennis shoes. I really liked those tennis shoes. Called back a few days later to try and see if anyone found them, but they wanted me to come to Jay's funeral. And I was scared the killer lady might be there. So I left that well enough alone. Didn't want to show up and have someone recognize me from being in the house.
I understand.
I sent flowers, though.
Okay.
So that's what I've got. I don't know if it's helpful, but I saw the ad and I thought maybe it could be.
Well, it wasn't an ad. But we are appreciative nonetheless that you came in. In the future, should you witness any more crimes, we would appreciate it more if you came to us right away.
I'm working on being brave. I'll sure try.
Thank you. My associate will see you out. Please, do not hesitate to call us if you remember any more details.
I will. Good luck finding her.
Thank you, Mr. Klipspringer. I hope we do.
My mouth was hanging open. Here was a man who saw the whole thing happen, knew it wasn't a murder-suicide as it was shouted in the papers for weeks, and didn't say a word. There's something to be said for being afraid, but this felt ridiculous to keep to yourself. Everything I had assumed about this case from the beginning was blowing up in my face. If I had thought that was earth-shattering, nothing could prepare me for what came next. Daisy showed up shortly after Klipspringer left, gliding through the station as if her feet didn't need the ground. The two officers who escorted her had their hands near her shoulders but not touching, and they lingered a moment too long after she sat down in the interrogation room. Detective Amory had to clear his throat several times to break them of her pull. When they sheepishly padded out the door to close it, Daisy let the gentle smile she had been holding on to drop for just a moment.
Please state your name for the recording.
Daisy. Faye. Buchanan. Faye.
You were interviewed on September 9th, 1922. The summary of your interview indicates that you left your house on East Egg, bound for New York City, early in the morning of September 5th with your husband, Tom Buchanan, your daughter, and her nursemaid. While you were in the city, your actions were unaccounted for and separated from the actions of your husband that day. You dined together in the city around 7 p.m. Interviewer's note for the record: Ms. Buchanan was routinely spoken over in this interview and rarely allowed to answer questions for herself, even when the interviewer requested it explicitly. Does that accurately represent the line of questioning as you remember it?
It's how I remember things going. Yes.
Would you like to, now that you are here on your own accord without your husband, revise any of that statement or recount your actions of that day in your own words?
I'd like to start with my actions the night before, if you'd let me.
Of course. This is September 4th, correct?
That's right.
Go ahead.
I was driving Jay Gatsby's car back to his house on West Egg from the city. I was wound up from an emotional afternoon, and I thought it would calm my nerves to drive. When we were driving, a woman ran out in the middle of the road, towards our car. I swerved to avoid her, but there was a car coming the opposite direction straight at us. Instead of crashing our car into theirs, I swerved backwards to the woman who I hoped had stopped running. I didn't know at the time why she was running towards our car. I thought she was crazy. I hit her. I didn't look back to see what happened. I just kept driving. I think I was in shock. Jay had to take the steering wheel to even keep the car on the road for a stretch. He wanted me to stop and go back, but I couldn't face what had just happened. What I had just done. That night I learned she was the woman Tom had another life with in the city. They had a dog. The next morning, September 5th, I told Tom I was going to go to the police, but he said he had it under control. I've only just recently learned that he didn't know I had been driving. He thought I was going to the police on account of Jay, but he said he would handle it. He said he already had it handled.
Do you know what he meant by that? That he had it handled?
From what I know now, he told the other man that it was Jay's car and where to find him. I could only imagine that he was trying to make sure Jay was killed for that woman's death. And for loving me.
And after you told Mr. Buchanan that you were going to the police, what happened then?
We left. We just packed up and left. Left Jordan all alone at the house. How awful that must have been for her. I think we were all just wondering how to get ourselves from one moment to the next.
And where, in your own account, did you go that afternoon? What did you spend your time doing?
We went into the city. Tom said he had some things to attend to. Now I know it was for that woman. He took me along into the city to care for someone he was in love with, after tearing me away from the man that I loved more than him. It was all very confusing.
I can imagine.
So when we left our hotel room, I went back to see Jay.
You drove back to East Egg to Gatsby's house.
Yes.
What time approximately, or exactly, if you can remember, was this?
I arrived right around 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
And did you speak with Mr. Gatsby when you arrived?
The way we left things was horrible. He wanted me to tell him I never loved Tom, but I couldn't say it. He was so upset that I couldn't say it. He looked at me like I was different, broken. For days he had been looking at me like I was the only person in the world, like there was a bubble around us. But that day when I couldn't admit I'd never loved Tom, that bubble broke, and he looked at me like I was gone. And then the accident happened, and I could barely speak to him the rest of the night. He told me he'd wait for me, wait outside my window to make sure I was safe, that Tom didn't try to hurt me. But I barely looked at him. Just saw him standing there when we went to bed looking at me like he had never really seen me. And I turned away. When I knew that that woman had been Tom's mistress, when he took me all the way to the city to close out his life with her, I realized that I really had never loved him. He never loved me. So anything I felt for him, the safety of being cared for in a marriage, cared for the only way anyone around me cared about, that wasn't love. Not the way I loved Jay. I took my bag. I wanted to run away with him, tell him I made a mistake, that I never did love Tom, that I only loved him. I drove to his house and pulled up in the driveway, and when I got out and walked around the door, I saw him in his bathing suit walking towards his pool. He looked so calm, so content. How could he look so calm when I was dying inside?
And that made you angry?
Yes.
Mrs. Buchanan.
Please. Daisy.
I'd prefer to keep this formal. Do you recognize this?
Where did you find that? I thought I had lost it ages ago. Though I suppose I have no use for it now.
Given up smoking?
Given up my husband.
Are you confirming that this is your cigarette lighter?
Yes.
Daisy Buchanan, you're under arrest for the murder of Jay Gatsby, George Wilson, and the vehicular manslaughter of Myrtle Wilson. What? Is there a lawyer you'd like to call?
I didn't know. Tom always... I didn't know!
Blaine, get McKisco on the line.
Well, that happened fast.
I told you it would all fall into place once we lined up some of the pieces.
Do you think there's enough to convict her?
She admits to being at the scene of the crime in the time frame the shooting happened. We have an eyewitness who saw a female with a gun. We can bring in Klipspringer to identify her in the lineup. She admits the lighter belonging to her. We'll send teams to search the Buchanan and Fay homes for the code itself, if she held on to it.
It's a strong case. It's not bulletproof, but I think it's enough.
I didn't think she had it in her.
Sometimes people get a taste of it and can't stop. She's a woman with no control over her life, her marriage, her husband's affairs. When she killed Myrtle, She found the first taste of power over someone else's life. She left the city thinking she'd keep taking control, finally make the change she had been needing to for so long. Once she realized it wasn't going to work out exactly the way she pictured it, she took it out on George and Jay. What now?
I'm sorry to interrupt, Detective Barbin.
Again?
Again. I'm sorry to interrupt again, but there's someone here demanding to be seen.
About this case?
Yes, sir.
Who is it?
William Fay, sir. Daisy Buchanan's father.
Is he alone?
He's with Albert McKisco, sir. The Buchanan lawyer.
Shit.
I'm sorry, sir, but he's threatening the desk officers. He's insistent on seeing you.
Fine. Bring him back. But keep McKisco with him. I don't want anything we say outside the ears of a lawyer.
Yes, sir.
As if we were in his own home in Louisville, I could hear William Fay coming down the halls of the precinct before I even saw him.
Bastards better release my daughter, or else so help me God, I'll sue this place to the ground. Don't you dare tell me to calm down when you've arrested my daughter.
If you would ever see
A lawyer
gladly
present, if I
explain
might
things.
add, which I don't need to tell you is an extreme
An
violation of
innocent
procedure.
girl sitting in a prison cell. Oh, it's ridiculous. She's barely
Please,
able to
Mr.
think for
Fay, we
herself.
can discuss this. You take a
The
seat.
process established for the state of New York.
Enough! Everyone sit down. Mr. Fay, you walked in here of your own volition and will conduct yourself in a civilized manner. Mr. McKisco, please get a hold of yourself and your client. And once we've all settled ourselves down, we can discuss what this is about. There. Now that's much better. All right, let's start at the beginning. Please state your name for the record.
William Fay.
And what is the nature of your visit to the New York police today, Mr. Fay?
You arrested my daughter for a murder she had nothing to do with.
Can you tell me how you're sure Mrs. Buchanan didn't carry out the murder of Jay Gatsby and George Wilson?
Because Tom Buchanan hired me to do it.
All That Glitters is written, edited, and produced by me, Steph Crugnola, inspired by The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This episode features Aleena Azhar as Klipspringer, Sibonelo Shezi as Detective Barban, Mike Crugnola as Detective Amory, Savanah Martinez as Daisy, Darwin Ragsdale as the officer, Jack Baziuk as William, and Andrew Solis as Albert. Music by Josh Kavanagh.